The celebrities are gossiping about drama amid Baldoni, right? They did this publicity stunt last night where they went on SNL and Ryan Reynolds made this silly joke, this really silly joke.
They know that they've completely lost.
Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds have always been untouchable in Hollywood. They built their careers on charm, perfectly timed humor, and an image so well crafted that no scandal could touch them. But now, for the first time, that image is starting to crack. Hollywood has turned its back on huge stars before, and when it happens, there's no coming back. Just ask Johnny Depp, Will Smith, or even Amber Heard. One wrong move, one controversy too big to ignore, and suddenly the industry doesn't want you anymore. And right now, Blake and Ryan are dangerously close to that edge. The signs have been there for a while. Projects getting delayed, former allies staying quiet, public appearances that don't hit the same. But after what just happened, it's clear that the industry is pulling away from them. Major studios don't want their names attached to controversy, and the second they see a star as a liability instead of an asset, they start looking for a replacement. Blake and Ryan aren't used to this. They've spent years controlling their image, always staying one step ahead. But this time, it's different. The media isn't rushing to defend them like it used to, their usual PR tricks aren't working, and the backlash isn't dying down. It's getting worse. So what exactly is happening behind the scenes? And at this point, can Blake and Ryan even fix this? Let's break it all down.
And there's a hypocrisy and a fraudulence there that the public is picking up on. They weren't the first to do this. It was Blake Lively, it was Ryan Reynolds, this was their strategy. And now they kind of want to put the genie back in the bottle. But guess what? The genie does not want to go back in the bottle. The genie likes to be free, okay? And we're now all paying attention.
For years, Blake and Ryan have been Hollywood's favorite couple. They weren't just actors, they were a brand. Their witty interviews, picture-perfect relationship, and carefully curated social media presence made them seem invincible. But the truth is, no one stays on top forever. In Hollywood, loyalty is a business decision, not a personal one. As long as a celebrity keeps making money and keeping good press, they're safe. But the moment they become a risk, the industry moves on, fast. And lately, Blake and Ryan's influence isn't what it used to be. Blake's name has been caught up in the Justin Baldoni lawsuit, and while she's tried to control the narrative, it's not working. There are too many questions, too many contradictions, and the public isn't blindly believing her side anymore. Meanwhile, Ryan, who has always been a master at handling media scandals, is completely silent. And in Hollywood, silence is never a good sign. Then there's the fact that their recent public appearances have been met with mixed reactions. They used to be guaranteed fan favorites. But now, people are picking up on something different. The energy is off, and whether they realize it or not, the industry is not looking at them the same way anymore. Hollywood has seen this play out before. The media darlings of yesterday can become the canceled names of tomorrow. And right now, Blake and Ryan are dangerously close to crossing that line.
I'd say the majority of people I'm reading are not okay that he went and joked about such a serious thing.
One of the biggest reasons Blake and Ryan have stayed on top for so long is that they understood how to control the media. They knew exactly when to give the press what they wanted and when to stay silent. They understood how to flip a bad headline into a positive one and how to make the public forget scandals before they even fully started. But something feels different this time. The media isn't rushing to defend them like it used to. Instead of shutting down the rumors, they're amplifying them. Instead of carefully pushing their version of events, they're letting the controversy grow. And that's dangerous because when the media stops protecting you, Hollywood follows. This is exactly how other A-list stars have fallen from grace. At first, there's denial, then the media starts asking questions, then Hollywood stops taking your calls. And before you even realize what's happening, you're being replaced. And the worst part? Blake and Ryan might not even see it happening yet.
I told them that I wasn't in the best place. I told them that I was exhausted, that I haven't given myself time to recover.
The longer this controversy drags on, the more damaging it becomes. Scandals in Hollywood either fade away quickly or spiral out of control. And right now, Blake and Ryan are dangerously close to the second option. Instead of Hollywood insiders stepping up to defend them, people are staying quiet. Instead of shutting down rumors, more details are starting to leak. And instead of the industry making sure this all goes away, they seem to be letting it play out. And that is a very, very bad sign, because in Hollywood, when nobody is speaking up for you, it usually means they've already decided to move on. And if that's the case, then this might not just be a temporary scandal. This might be the beginning of the end of Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds' Hollywood dominance.
You can just see he is not pleased. He just doesn't find it to be funny. He seems to be trying to look to see if he can catch Blake's face there. And he just didn't find it funny. He did not break character once. He just was like, okay. And there were other people as well who didn't find it to be entertaining.
If there's one thing that should terrify any celebrity, it's silence. When a Hollywood star faces backlash, their industry allies usually step up. Directors, co-stars, executives, and even longtime friends will publicly defend them. That's how you know someone still has power in the industry. But right now, nobody is speaking up for Blake and Ryan. For years, they had unwavering support from Hollywood's biggest names. Directors praised them in interviews. Producers called them the perfect power couple, and major publications couldn't get enough of them. But recently, all of that has stopped. No one is rushing to clear their names. No major media outlets are working overtime to protect them. The same industry that once elevated them to A-list status is now avoiding their names entirely. And that's not just a coincidence, it's a sign. Hollywood doesn't just drop someone overnight. It happens in small, quiet steps. First, people. Stop mentioning them in interviews. Then, major studio executives start reconsidering projects. Then, they get passed over for roles that would have once been guaranteed. And eventually, their names disappear from major conversations altogether. Right now, that process is already starting for Blake and Ryan. And they might not even realize it. Once the industry decides to move on, it doesn't make a big announcement. There's no official blacklist. Instead, the doors that were always open just stop opening. The phone calls slow down, the invitations stop coming, and by the time the celebrity realizes what's happening, it's already too late. And if Blake and Ryan don't act fast, they could be heading straight for that reality.
Blake sensed she had a hit on her hands, and as soon as that happened, she took over. Complete control of that movie, brought in A-list producer, everybody else, and steamrolled the entire production from Justin.
Hollywood runs on momentum. The bigger your influence, the more opportunities you get. The moment that influence starts fading, the industry starts looking for someone else. And right now, Blake and Ryan are losing momentum. It used to be guaranteed that their projects would get top billing. Studios wanted them in their films, brands wanted them in their campaigns, and talk shows lined up to feature them. They weren't just actors, they were Hollywood royalty. But in the past few months, that status has started slipping. Ryan Reynolds, who has spent years dominating the box office with major films and high-profile endorsement deals, isn't being promoted as aggressively as before. His name isn't being pushed as hard, and some of his projects aren't getting the full studio backing they once would have. Blake, meanwhile, has had trouble securing the kinds of major roles that once came easily to her. Instead of being Hollywood's go-to leading lady, she's finding herself competing for roles that, a few years ago, would have been offered to her without hesitation. It's subtle, but in Hollywood, subtlety is everything. When an A-list star stops being the industry's first choice, it's a warning sign. It means studios are testing the waters, seeing how films perform without them, seeing if audiences are still invested, and slowly transitioning to the next big thing. And if they don't turn things around soon, they might wake up to realize that Hollywood has already replaced them.
I think this was weird. I think this is weird to have Ryan Reynolds there, specifically when his ex's husband also
That's another thing,
is on that show. Also, to note that yes, they've hosted before in 2009 and a couple other times.
Most celebrities don't see the warning signs until it's too late. They assume their careers will always bounce back, that the media will eventually forget, and that their names will always hold weight in the industry. But the reality is, Hollywood is ruthless. We've seen this exact pattern play out before. Amber Heard ignored the backlash until it destroyed her career. Jennifer Lawrence overexposed herself until Hollywood moved on. Will Smith thought one mistake wouldn't change his entire legacy until it did. Now Blake and Ryan are making the same mistake. They're acting like this is just another bad headline, when in reality, it's much bigger than that. The media isn't just covering the controversy, it's actively letting the narrative spiral. The industry isn't rushing to protect them, it's watching from the sidelines. And that means one thing. Hollywood is waiting to see if they're worth saving. Because the truth is, if a star still has value, the industry protects them. They step in, they clean up the mess, and they make sure the controversy disappears. But if the industry lets the backlash grow unchecked, that's when you know they're considering moving on. And if Blake and Ryan aren't paying attention, they might not realize they're being replaced until it's already too late.
The celebrities are gossiping about drama amid Baldoni.
Asking why Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds were even there.
They did this publicity stunt last night where they went on SNL and Ryan Reynolds made this silly joke, this really silly joke.
If there's one thing that never stops in Hollywood, it's the search for the next big thing. The industry thrives on new talent, and when an A-lister's influence starts to fade, there's always someone younger, hungrier, and more marketable, ready to take their place. Right now, that shift is already happening. For years, Ryan Reynolds was one of Hollywood's most bankable leading men, landing major franchises, endorsement deals, and guaranteed box office success. But recently, that momentum has slowed. Studios aren't promoting him as aggressively as before, and his next big projects aren't being talked about the same way they used to be. And Blake? Hollywood is always looking for the next top actress, and right now, there are plenty of younger stars stepping into the roles she used to dominate. Rising stars like Sydney Sweeney and Anya Taylor-Joy are getting the kinds of high-profile opportunities that Blake once had a lock on. And here's the truth: Hollywood doesn't wait for anyone. The industry won't announce they've moved on. From Blake and Ryan, there won't be an official cancellation, but little by little, they'll get fewer calls, fewer roles, fewer chances to stay relevant. And by the time they realize it, Hollywood will already have found their replacements.
I'm unaware of anybody, frankly, whose wife has been sexually harassed and has made jokes about that type of situation.
Blake and Ryan aren't at rock bottom yet, but they're heading straight toward it if they don't act fast. Right now, they have one final chance to stop this before the damage becomes permanent. If they want to survive in Hollywood, they need to do 3 things immediately. First, they need to acknowledge the backlash instead of ignoring it. Right now, they're acting like this is just another media rumor, hoping that staying silent will make it go away. But Hollywood hates uncertainty. If studios and executives aren't sure whether they're still bankable, they'll stop taking risks on them. They need to control the story themselves before someone else does. Second, they need to prove that they're still valuable to the industry. Hollywood is a business, and if they want to stay on top, they have to show that they're still a smart investment. That means landing high-profile roles, securing brand deals, and proving that audiences still care. And third, they need to stop acting like their careers are too big to fail. Too many celebrities wait too long to fix their public image. They assume that because they were once on top, they'll always be relevant. But that's not how Hollywood works. And if Blake and Ryan don't act soon, they might not have careers left to save.
Well, Ryan Reynolds on the Enneagram is a psycho. That's what he is. He's just a psycho. His number is psycho.
This is the part no celebrity wants to admit. Hollywood doesn't care about the past. No matter how successful an actor was, no matter how much they were adored by fans, if they stop making money for the industry, they become replaceable. We've seen this happen before. Johnny Depp lost major roles when Hollywood thought his legal battles were too much of a risk. Amber Heard went from rising star to unemployable after her credibility was destroyed. Will Smith's Oscar slap turned him from a Hollywood icon to a liability. Now, Blake and Ryan are at that same crossroads. Their reputations are taking hits. Their influence isn't what it used to be. And the industry is already looking ahead to the next wave of stars. If they don't make the right moves now, they could find themselves on the outside looking in, watching their careers slip away with no way to fix it. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds spent years at the top of Hollywood. They were the golden couple, the fan favorites, the actors everyone wanted to work with. But now, they're watching that status disappear. The industry isn't protecting them like it used to. The media isn't controlling the narrative for them. And behind the scenes, Hollywood is already looking for their replacements. If they don't take control of this fast, this controversy won't just be a bump in their careers, it could be the moment Hollywood decides to move on without them. So, what do you think? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like this video, subscribe to me, and ring the bell so you will be first to get notified about the newest drama.